Jim, if you'd like to introduce yourself and give us a 3-minute introduction.
Thank you. First of all, I'm happy to see all the faces I get to see just about every day I'm out campaigning. You guys are all over the place, and I want to thank all of you for having this great evening tonight, for all the candidates to really be able to get out. And that's what's so great about these sort of forums, where we can talk about everything and voters really get to hear what it's about. David's done a great job as always, so my hat off to David for great questions. Moderate humor, but getting much better. It doesn't get paid for it, so that's good. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. First of all, I'm from Simi Valley, so I'm from the other side of the county. But probably the one thing I'd say is the most important thing in my life is that I've been a single father of 3 great children since my children were 9, 7, and 5. So I'm proud to say that while a lot of people don't think that men can somehow bring up their children and do, I think, a good job, I'm proud of all of them. They've all sort of ventured out into their own areas, and it's great. They all still live in Simi Valley, and it's a very big, it's a pride I have about my children, and it's a pride I'm sure all of us have about our family. But that's really number one in my life. Having said that, because of my children and looking at a lot of things that happened, I formed a nationally known and recognized and honored group called Baseballers Against Drugs. Some of you may know that before I became as old as I am now and looked as I do now, I actually played with the Chicago Cubs for just a little bit. That was in 1969 in spring training. But I always loved it. As a kid, I was always participating in it. One of the things I saw, and I don't want to stay on this too long, is that kids today were sort of searching for things. They were out looking for a lot of different things. So what I did was I put my own money up, about $10,000, went out and worked with some Major League ball players that I knew, and we went out literally across the nation working with kids, and particularly here in Ventura County, that were at risk and even not at risk kids, to give them some sort of good feelings about themselves, give them some kind of hope. And I think that organization, Baseballers Against Drugs, certainly gave me a great feeling for community. I was a teacher for 6 years. I love working with young people. I still, once in a while, will coach some traveling teams or some baseball team for the kids. And most importantly, for this race, is my expertise, experience, and leadership ability for the county clerk. The gentleman I'm running against doesn't have any of those. I've worked with Republicans and Democrats. I've spent about 34 years of my life working with legislative folks both at the state level and at the national level, not to mention, of course, the local politics in this county. The one thing I've heard on and on tonight, which I absolutely agree upon, is he says, please stop. Can I have a little bit more time on this one? Is that people talk about anointed. It is so true. And the office I'm going for is the one that's going to oversee, I should say, all of those elections to make sure there are no more anointments in Ventura County. And I really believe, I really do, that this time we're going to make some changes at all levels of the county to make sure there are no more anointed leaders. And with that, I'll throw it back to David.
A little bit of clarification on this job. The county clerk used to be Phil Schmidt. He was elected in 2006. He retired at the end of 2008, and since then the assistant has been running the department. So there is no incumbent and there is no anointed one, so to speak. It's just that's how it came to be an open office, and we have the 2 candidates. Jim, what would be your top priorities for the elections department if you are elected?
Well, my absolute top priority, which I have said just about every night since I've been in this campaign, is a voter education registration program that goes out through the county. The county clerk's office should be very involved with making sure that everyone participates in the system. And this is the greatest right we have to elect our officials. Whether we agree with them or we disagree with them, we have a right. And we have to go out, reach out to communities that really are underserved from the clerk's office, underserved from areas that should be more involved so that they can have a say in what's going on, and they need to feel that their vote does count. And I certainly want to make sure that we have elections that are certainly fair, that are certainly accurate, and certainly are timely.
Jim, if you're elected, will you offer some type of workshops for prospective candidates that need assistance with ballot statements as well as filling out the mandatory forms?
Well, that's a great question, because that is so true. A lot of people come in, and we've seen it in this last election. My opponent statement was even thrown out. People don't even know how to run. I think it's important that no matter who be the person to run, that the clerk's office thinks it's important enough to explain to them and educate them on what things they need to do as the candidate. If that isn't the clerk's job, I'm really not sure what it would be. But that would be one part of it. And I think that certainly as far as all the candidates, we want to promote people in all the communities to participate. And in terms of, educating them, I would certainly have someone on staff as well as myself and working in any way we could to make it easier and for everyone.
What about outreach to areas where we have low voter turnout? Will you have some specific programs to try and reach those voters who don't understand?
Well, there's a lot of people in this room that know I'm already doing that as a candidate. One of the things I promised to do, and I'm doing as we speak now as a candidate, is going into the colleges and in the senior classes of high school to talk to children and young people, I should say, about the importance of voting. Young people today don't really see, when I was 18, the first thing I wanted to do was go out and register. It was the best thing I could have done. I've not missed an election since. Young people today don't quite see it the same way. The first thing I would do is certainly put a staff together, a group of people who would go into colleges and into high schools to make sure that young people understood that. We would certainly make sure that we were available for senior groups and anyone else who felt they were underserved. And certainly there are areas in this county that are underserved in terms of the clerk's office. That's Oxnard, that's Ventura, that's Fillmore, Santa Paula, Port Hueneme. And it's not by just coincidence that those are the areas that are underserved. So I certainly will put a program together. I'm actively doing it in my campaign, and I will really be very active in it in terms of being the elected clerk.